What's going on YouTube? I am back with another story time, and if you do like these story times, please like, subscribe, ring that bell. And so this is the first time I took dab, I guess you'd say. I don't know if it didn't really dab in the traditional sense, but the first time I had concentrates, like BHO, whatnot, of that category. And this was pretty early on. I was going to college. It was like 2010 going on 2011, and this was the first time. I didn't see it online hardly anywhere. I'd kind of heard about stuff on, like, you know, rollitup.org, things like that, more actual like weed forums directly. But basically this is when the concentrates, shatter, crumble, all that, you know, good stuff was first hitting the medical market in Colorado. And I used to go to Strawberry Fields a fair amount, and their first concentrates, of course, it kind of came in line with carts and whatnot, that same kind of timeline. And I looked at carts like, ew, from the get-go, just like, that's, I don't know, it's kind of wasteful. It's just not what I was going for. But that crumble, that other stuff in the dish, now that looked good. That was the stuff I was interested in. And back then there weren't really many. I mean, the brands definitely exploded. And I went to a lot of places that were in-house, but this was a little bit. This was like a place that. Like they hired like a third-party extractor to come in and do it. And this company was called Moon Rocks. Now, this wasn't like I was getting Moon Rocks like caviar or whatnot, where it's like hash oil on weed or anything like that. This was straight up crumble, but the brand was called Moon Rocks, and it had like an astronaut on the box and whatnot. And basically it was $30 for the gram, which, hearing a lot of other places, people, you know, talk about having dab at that time in like Cali or other places, they were getting friggin' goop soup, some black tar type stuff by comparison. So I feel pretty lucky for the first time me getting some stuff like that. And it was like some yellowish crumble, and to be honest, not the greatest tasting, but, you know, especially for that time, I imagine it could have been a lot worse. So I ended up going to Strawberry Fields and finally just throwing down the $30. Normally I get an eighth of weed or something, but this time I wanted to go for it. So I got myself a gram, and I get home, and I don't have a rig to smoke it with. I don't really have much to I had not planned as well as I had thought I would. So I ended up doing it a little bit differently out of desperation to try it for the first time in the moment. And I pretty much ended up doing kind of like, I didn't do it in a light bulb, but I had like a bowl that wasn't a insulated bowl. It was like a curved one, and it was able to like cup when it melted. It didn't just like fall, like it was able to just barely hold it. And basically what I did is I just smushed it into this cheap ass bowl, and I just took a lighter and I just held it to the glass, heating it up till it started smoking and whatnot. And the first attempt or so, I didn't really get much out of it, but that third go, it was like a dab. It was basically the same as taking a dab, and man, did I get those THC sweats. I was living alone at the time, and pretty much getting home, it was just like this. I was in the kitchen, and I just finally got that third rip where it worked, and it just like, oh man, it was definitely that heat, that THC sweat. I just immediately remember after taking that hit, having to go whoo, and like wiping the sweat off my forehead, and then just feeling that like spacey, I don't know, just immediately feeling the eyes, like the relaxed eyes, and the space around me, it just like, it's kind of just like this weird feeling of like compression and then decompression, if that makes any sense. Where it just like it's just like this crazy relax, and it just felt hot. That THC sweat just persisted, and it was interesting because I hadn't recalled a previous time where I had THC sweats like that, or really at all. Like usually my other times were accompanied differently in such a way where I was just like belligerent and didn't really, I don't know if I'd say belligerent, but like I wasn't connecting the dots per se. If I was sweating, I just figured, it was hot or something. This was distinctly like my body felt hotter, and particularly my forehead and like the sweat coming off of it was distinct, standing in a cold ass kitchen and then like all of a sudden being like hot and sweaty. Definitely, you can tell that's some classic THC sweat feeling, and it was interesting, and it would definitely, I didn't think of myself as being pretty early on, but having listened to a lot of people and when they first started dabbing or like what they had, this was definitely probably one of the luckier times for me, getting in on it and trying it. It didn't really have much flavor to it at all, but it certainly hit like a nice THC dab. And I pretty much was just chilling the rest of the evening. And then I ended up having to spend like a whole nother chunk of time finding a torch. Cause yeah, that's like a whole nother endeavor, and finding rigs that this was before they had domeless as well. It was all domed pieces if you're gonna get stuff. So this was like before any of that. It was definitely early on in how things went. So it took a bit to get the proper equipment, shall we say, that to dab it right, but it was definitely quite the experience. And yeah, it got me down that rabbit hole for sure. I am for sure into concentrates really bad. But in any case, if you do like this content, again, please like, subscribe, ring that bell. You have a great rest of your day.